Hello again. Welcome to Chapter 3 of Statistics. Today, we're going to be looking at how to display data graphically. Uh, the way to do that is by visually doing it through Excel charts or numerically by doing it through Excel tables. And you definitely want to have Excel software. If you haven't already, this is a chapter that you want to be ready and have it available. Hopefully you already have that and you can go along in this chapter so that we can look at graphs and how to work around them. So some terms that you want to have knowledge of are measurement, so how you will measure the data and what sample methods you're going to use. We also want to know center, which is the data values that we're going to consider. Variability, which is how spread out the values are going to be, and shape, to see whether the data is symmetrical or skewed, and we'll get into that more later in the chapters. So the next item in Chapter 4 that we get to take a look at are stem and leaf plots, and this is where you count down how many of the values that you've gathered into your data are zero, start with 0, start with 1, start with 2, or start with 3. Now, when you count these, there's a useful YouTube that you want to take a look at called Statistics, How to Make a Stem and Leaf Plot by My Secret Math. I think that'll be useful for you when you're doing the homework to follow along that YouTube. The next area that we look at are dot plot graphs, and these are slightly different, but same idea. You are counting the data. In this example here, there's this choice of snacks, so you're looking at choices between popcorn and pretzels and Kit Kats and so on. And the data graphically shows you here that by far popcorn is the largest win, while Kit Kats surprisingly are the smallest. So you also want to look at where the central tendency is. In this case, popcorn would probably be the one that is chosen more often. So there is a YouTube that you want to take a look at to see how to plot dot plot graphs, and that one is what is a dot plot graph and how to construct it by WhatsApp Duck. So the dot plot graphs also show you the range of the data, also known as dispersions. So they can be from the least value to the largest value, and the central value, which is going to be usually your middle of the graph. Now, there's also frequency distributions that we look at in Chapter 3, and this is a table that we consider n number of data and k number of classes. Now, there is a YouTube that's useful for frequency distributions called Dot Plots and Frequency Tables by Jackie Fairfield. You might want to take a look at this as well when you're doing the homework. The next area that we consider are histograms, which are essentially bar charts. Now, histograms are useful because they will give you information over time. They will be skewed differently. And why is this important? For example, if we have a graph of how the class is doing over time, if the graph tends to be skewed to the left, that means that over time students are learning and getting better grades, and hopefully they're going to end up with a big A at the end. If this graph tends to be skewed to the right, that means that students are actually not learning, and over time their grades keep decreasing and might end up dropping the class. So that's what we want to avoid. So data like this is very useful. I use that example just to help you connect with the data that we're looking at. But you do want to consider whether the graph is symmetric or skewed to the left or right to show you what kind of results you're getting from the data. Now, there is also log scales that are covered in this chapter, And this is another type of measurement table option, which we can have an increasing percentage, meaning a concave upwards, or a decreasing percentage, meaning concave down. There are examples of COVID graphs over the past year that actually showed you this data. They can be referenced in the sfchronicle.com site 2020 slash coronavirus maps. This showed a lot of useful data on how we were doing over time, and with the coronavirus cases. And graphically, it showed the populations of people contracting the disease and so forth, which were really useful just for everybody, just to get a measure of how things were going. Now, another area that we cover in Chapter 3 are Pareto charts, and those are similar to bar charts. However, they show the data in descending order as opposed to ascending order. So normally when you would see a graph that is increasing, you will actually see it displayed the opposite way, increasing. So some of the data that we show here, I will show you how to do it in Excel. So this is the data that we are depicting here. So for example, if we're looking at doing a table to display the numerical data, all we have to do is with our cursor highlight the data that we want to use and display it in a chart. The way that we display it in a chart is we go here to Insert and choose a table, and then just press OK. Now this will give us a nice table to work with that will highlight columns. You get to select what years you want to take a look at, sort them in ascending or descending order, and so forth. So tables are really useful, really easy to insert in Excel. And then once you have that data in a table format, what you want to do is go ahead and insert a chart. So again, in Excel, it's fairly easy. You go up here to the Insert tab, and you choose the graph that you want to look at. So in this case, if I want to look at a statistical histogram, that's all I have to do is just choose it, and it will give me some kind of graph. Then you can go ahead and format it to look differently. There's plenty of options on the charts highlighted here, so you can choose statistical graphs highlighted in this area here, but you can also go to plain line graphs and also use pie charts. You can use them in 2D, 3D, and so forth. As you can see, you have a number of options. Scatter plot graphs, which we're going to get into in more in different chapters, pivot charts, and so on. So as you can see, there's plenty of options here. Here I was highlighting a bar chart, a histogram, a line chart, a pie chart. Again, all extracted from just highlighting this data here, going to the Insert button or Insert tab up here, and then just choosing the kind of graph that you want to select. Hopefully that was useful to you today, and if you have any questions on this, please feel free to reach out via email. Thank you.